This is McCook's Mr. Bill's. An honor to have you here. You're looking at a compound bow, kid's bow, 15-pound pull, compound bow. Got some target arrows here in my sheath. It's just something that wife and I like to go out and target practice with. We like to shoot anything, firearms or a bow, something just to play with. And this 15-pound means that you can shoot out to about 45 feet and have a lot of fun with it in a straw bale, something of that nature out at the ranch that we work part-time for. With that in mind, though, archery is a fun thing and a science to many people that don't realize it. I said a science because unlike a bullet, you don't see the bullet tracking out. You just see where it has hit and try to guess how to adjust it accordingly. With an arrow, you actually see it in flight. You see how gravity affects it. You see how the wind affects it. And between those two, you've got science in your head and you have to adjust accordingly. And that type of education is hard pressed to find. When we were first married in '73, we would go over to the high school and they had archery at that time in their physical education along with other means of exercise, but they also had archery. I wish they still did, because that's a sport and a hobby and also a possible self-defense or putting food on your table on a day after event. But you're here for a story, and I got a couple stories on bow and arrows. Well, I had a friend that was a long-time hunter. He told, though, that one time he went out deer hunting with his bow. Gonna take him a deer. Not his first deer that he had ever taken either. But he got out there and was setting out in his tree stand about 10 foot off the ground, because deer don't look up. That makes it a lot easier to take a deer and let them get in close with a bow. And so he was waiting and waiting, got kind of bored. Off to the side there was a squirrel making fun of him, wiggling his tail and chattering, not happy that that old guy was standing up in that tree. He didn't want him in his area, so he was sure making a bunch of noise. So I finally got irritated and said, well, if nothing else, since no deer is showing up today, I'm going to take a squirrel and I'll have something to eat tonight with that squirrel shooting him. So he pulled his old bow back and let an arrow fly at him, missed him. Second and third arrow also missed. Fourth. The fifth, he said, now I got you. And he put a fifth arrow at him, missed again. Sixth, seventh, and his last arrow that he had was his eighth arrow, and he missed. Real close, but he missed again. And that old squirrel was just chattering away. And so he had to get off his tree stand. Down he went. And just as he put his foot on the ground, he said he heard the snort of a big old buck. Turned around, heard a buck running away. That was coming his direction and would walk right by his old tree stand. Yep, hunters need to always remember that patience puts food on the table. Patience puts food on the table. Now my second story is a game and parks worker here in local southwest Nebraska. Know him well. And he told that he went and took his bow to go deer hunting. Now he was going to be hunting on a farm, had permission to go. And he had to walk through and over a old stubble field of wheat. Stubble field means it's been cut. About 6 inches off the ground, there's stubble that high. And it's pretty thick out there, pretty hard to see anything as you're walking through that. Plus it's dry, it's been froze the winter, and everything's dead. And as he's walking through that old stubble, he started out into the field. He had to walk about 300 yards and then look down into a canyon, see if there was a deer down there to shoot. Well, as he started out, he got about 10 yards. 10 yards is all he got. And all of a sudden he heard brrrr. He looked outside and there was a big pile of rattlesnake. Big rattler. So he took his bow and he pinned that old head of that snake down to the ground and cut his head off. I wouldn't have done that, I'm here to tell you. I wouldn't have done it. Too dangerous. But he did it. And didn't get bit. And he took a few more steps. He said not another 10 steps. And he said off to the side, something wiggled in the wheat stubble there. And he used his bow to move some of it around, see what was there. And darned if there wasn't another rattler laying there. And he didn't rattle, but he was cocked ready to strike anyway. Okay, so he killed that rattlesnake, pinned him with his bow and cut his head off. He went another, maybe 10 yards, if that, and he said out in front of him, old rattler started buzzing away, a big one there. And he, what the devil, how many snakes are there out here? And he was getting pretty goosey, and he was going to kill him. And he said off to the side there was another one buzzing, started buzzing at the same time. Wait a minute, there are too many snakes out here, and too easy to get bit, and can't see them with that straw at 6 inches high, give or take, you know. And so he backed out, and he left those two alive and just got the devil out of there. He said he was getting pretty spooky, and to say the least. And but needless to say, you always got to understand that just because you're out there hunting doesn't mean somebody isn't hunting you and can't get you in a bucket of trouble or maybe even kill you. You bet. But that's two of the archery stories that I was told. I got a bunch more. Might tell them sometime. Thank you for watching. You have a good day.